as per the previous discussion? Three kinds of activities. Yeah.
Karma means good deeds what he had done. Vikarma means bad deeds, but whatever it is, he has to face that effects of both good or bad in that thing. Whereas akarma means devotional service to the Lord.
Right. Yes. Very good. Yeah. So these are the three things. So today we are going to learn about akarma. So we have learned till now, in summary, karma is good activities. That means which are given in the scriptures by Lord. Like we say, dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So what is dharma is directly ascertained by the Lord himself. So the prescribed duties for a living entity is called karma. Okay. That is also the injunctions given in the scriptures, like we have injunctions of giving charity. Okay, somebody digging a well or making a dam on the river and facilitating many people in that sense, and making hospitals like that. So these are all good karmas where one gets punya. Okay, and then there is vikarma. The vikarma is those activities which are against the scriptural injunctions. Okay, and what do? They give rise to the suffering. Okay, so punya gives rise to enjoyment in heaven, and papa, it gives rise to suffering in hell. Okay, then again, after both of them are finished, after one has sufficiently enjoyed in the heaven for his good deeds, he has to come back to earth to earn new punya or papa. And when one has suffered for his sins sufficiently in the hell, then he comes back again to earth to again earn either punya or papa. Okay. So today we will be discussing about akarma, which generates neither punya nor papa. Okay. Before we start, let us do the prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya
Om Ajnana Timirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Chakshunmilitam Yena
Chakshunmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः
Nama Om Vishnupadaya
Namo Vishnupadaya
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Krishna
कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta
Srimate
भक्तिवेदान्त
Swami Niti Namine
स्वामी
Namaste Saraswate Deve
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे
Gauravani Pracharine
Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
निर्विशेष शून्यवादी
Paschatya Deshatarine
पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
Prabhu Nityananda
प्रभु नित्यानंद
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
हरे कृष्णा
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna
कृष्णा हरे हरे
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama
हरे राम
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
हरे
Hare Krishna. Okay. So all can mute from their side. Okay. If I ask any question or anything you want to add, then you can unmute. Okay. So that there is less disturbance. Okay. I hope my voice is clear for everyone. Okay. So if any problem is there you face in between, please you can unmute and say, or you can put it in the chat. Okay. So as we are discussing today about akarmas, a very beautiful picture you can see here on your screen. All of you are able to see the screens, right? Yeah. So this is devotional service. Okay. So in one way, the definition of devotional service, as Srila Prabhupada has translated the word bhakti into devotional service. Okay. As such, bhakti means devotion, but Srila Prabhupada has specifically translated it as devotional service. Why? Because when you say devotion, it is something which is inner emotion in the heart. But at the same time, it's very, very important that it comes out as an activity, as some activity for the pleasure of the Lord and His devotees. So that's why Srila Prabhupada has very specifically translated it as not only devotion but devotional service, an activity for the pleasure of the beloved. Okay, he may be the Supreme Lord or any of his devotees. So this activity is called a karma that gives rise neither to punya nor to papa. So as we discussed now, punya takes one to heaven, makes him enjoy whatever extent he has done punya and come back to earth. And papa takes him to the hell and make him suffer to whatever extent he has done the sin, and then again come back to earth to earn the new punya or the papa. But akarma is very much different from these two. So to give an example to understand this concept more clearly, we will be subsequently seeing the definition again here ahead. But before that, I like to narrate an example here. As all of you know, we are discussing Bhagavad Gita also. As all of you know, the fight of Kurukshetra, battle of Kurukshetra was there, where Duryodhana and Arjuna both are fighting from opposite sides. So both of them are doing the activity of fighting, but the results which are going to come are different. Okay. So Duryodhana, when he is going to fight, he is fighting for his own personal gain of the kingdom and enjoyment. So if he kills anyone, he will get a reaction. That reaction will lead him to suffer in the hell. Whereas Arjuna, doing it on behalf of Krishna, he doesn't get any punya or papa. Okay, but it goes to another account. Like sometimes in the bank accounts, we have a fixed deposit account. Then we have what is that? Savings bank account. Okay, so there are different accounts are there. Correct. So there are three accounts which every person, every living entity has already installed. Okay. So the first account is of punya, the second account is of papa, and third is the account of devotional service or akarma. So as we have heard and learned that this third type of account, which is devotional service, is never ever it is lost. Okay, a little bit done also, a service to the Lord is kept in an eternal account. Okay, so in this life somebody has completed suppose 20% of his devotional service, then in the next life he will start from 21%. Okay, so this is akarma. Let us see the definition of akarma. Yeah, so somebody can read this definition. Yeah, Maheshwar, you can read.
Hare Krishna.
Hi.
Akarma literally means inaction, but is cessation of actions or avoidance of work.
Right. Okay. So akarma literally means inaction. Okay. See, there are two meanings of akarma. One general meaning is karma is activity, akarma means no activity, inaction. Okay, which Arjuna was proposing in the beginning of the conversation with Krishna, which is narrated in the Bhagavad Gita 18 chapters. In the beginning few chapters, as we are subsequently reading, we will come to it. We will see that how Arjuna is proposing that I will go to the forest and beg and make my livelihood by begging. Why? Because the fighting will lead to killing of many soldiers and many kings, which will lead to a big amount of sinful activity, and for which I have to suffer. So it would be better. So many reasons he gave, that there would be unwanted progeny, and there would be chaos in the whole world because of the lack of king. So many things he said, and at the end he finally said, so I don't want to fight, and he gave up his Gandiva bow and started weeping, saying that I would go to the forest and live by begging. So this is the proposal of inaction, or so-called akarma. Okay. So the king like Arjuna or Kshatriya like Arjuna, they are not supposed to give up their duty and go and live in the forest and make their livelihood by begging. It won't be possible for him. Why? Why it won't be possible? Because that is not his prescribed activity. His prescribed duty is to fight. The duty of a king is to protect the citizens, and to protect the citizens, he has to fight against the adharma, to establish the dharma. Yeah. So, but this does not mean a physical cessation of action or avoidance of work. Okay. So, akarma doesn't mean inaction. It has a higher meaning. Let us see what is that. So, here it is said, akarma refers to spiritual activities. That is, activities performed on behalf of or for the pleasure of God. Okay, that is called akarma. Okay, for the pleasure of the Lord. So, like the definition of bhakti, Shuddha bhakti, is, as it is said, that anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishna anushilanam bhaktir uttamam. Okay, so the definition of Shuddha bhakti or pure devotional service is anyabhilashita shunyam, means to avoid all the desires which are separate from what? Pleasing Krishna or his devotees. Okay, anyabhilasha means any desire which is for personal enjoyment, which is not for the service of the Lord and his devotees, must be avoided. Jnana karmadi anavritam, and it must be devoid of what? Two things, jnana and karma. Jnana in the sense that acquiring monistic knowledge or knowledge regarding the Lord's impersonal feature, that the Lord does not have any form, he is formless. All these are called in the category of jnana. But we know higher than this is the form of the Lord, which he exhibits in the Vrindavan and in the Vaikuntha planets. Yeah. Okay, and then third line of the pure bhakti definition, it says anukulyena krishnanu shrilanam. Anukulyena means it should be executed how? Favorably. Anukulyena, favorableness it is called. Okay, with the attitude of favor to the Lord and his devotees. Krishna anushilanam. What else? It should be following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, and it must be rendered continuously. Anu word means continuous, or in the footsteps of the previous predecessors, acharyas, all that. Okay, so that is the definition of akarma or devotional service. It does not bring any material reaction. It gives only spiritual reaction. As I said, we have three bank accounts we have. Okay, first one is punya, second one is papa, and third one is akarma or devotional service. So punya, what happens? It is a material bank account where we will get material happiness when we go to heaven, and it will end at one time when the punya has been finished. Our quota has finished, then it will end. And papa is also material bank account where what will happen? One has to suffer. And the third bank account, that is devotional service, bhakti or akarma, is a spiritual bank account where one neither has to suffer nor he has to enjoy. So when I say he doesn't have to enjoy, it doesn't mean that there is no enjoyment in the spiritual world or in doing akarma. It is something more than enjoyment. Enjoyment is in one sense, it is for one's own self. Whereas there is something called enjoyment for the pleasure of the Lord, to give pleasure to the senses of Krishna. That is the real enjoyment. Okay, just like when you water to the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are nourished. You don't have to separately water the fruit or separately water the twigs or the flower, anything. You water the root of the tree, everything is nourished. Similarly, you try to satisfy the senses of Lord Krishna, everything else will be satisfied and we also will be satisfied. Yeah. What are the examples? So chanting the names of God, worshipping Him, serving Him, and all other processes of bhakti, like we are studying here Bhagavad Gita theme wise and reading also Bhagavad Gita. So these are all acts of akarma. Then what is the result of such a akarma? Yeah. So can someone read this? Whoever is available here. Maybe Sudhindra sir, is it possible for you to read? What are the benefits of akarma?
By akarma, one develops devotion for the Lord.
Okay. Yeah, please read.
Detachment from worldly affairs.
Yes.
Purity, the spiritual happiness, gets liberated one from the cycle of birth and death, and one goes back to the spiritual world.
Right. Yes. So these are few of the benefits of akarma. Okay. When you read Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu or Nectar of Devotion, there you will see that there are 6 benefits mentioned of akarma. The very first benefit mentioned over there is Klesha Gani. Means that one will be end of all the material suffering. Okay, end of all the material suffering is called Klesha Gani. And second one is Shubhada. Da means to give. Shubha means auspiciousness. The second effect of bhakti is what? It gives auspiciousness in one's life. First is removal of all the suffering, and second is giving of auspiciousness to one's life. Okay, like that. And third benefit mentioned is moksha laguta krit over there. So moksha laguta krit means one feels that the impersonal liberation or merging into the formless feature of the Lord is insignificant. Okay, and the fourth benefit mentioned over there is the mention of moksha laguta krit is third, and fourth is sudurlabha. Sudurlabha in the meaning that it is very, very rare. Devotional service is very rare. And fifth one mentioned is Sandrananda Visheshatma, means condensed experience of pleasure. And the sixth one mentioned is, anybody knows? Sixth one? Anybody has heard these 5, 6? So we will study when we are studying the Nectar of Devotion. So the fifth is Sandrananda Visheshatma, and then sixth is mentioned that he feels everybody getting attracted to him and he becomes attracted to everyone. Okay, that way. Yeah, so here also few of the benefits are mentioned. One attains purity, spiritual happiness, he gets liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, and one goes back to the spiritual world. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned in the 3rd chapter, 9th shloka, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise work causes bondage in the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in this way you will always remain free from bondage. This shloka yesterday itself we were studying. The very, very important thing in this shloka is that any work performed, whether we are in the hospital or we are in the home, we are cooking or we are treating any patient, anything. It has to be performed for what? For the pleasure of Vishnu. Okay, otherwise the work causes bondage, because otherwise what will happen? It will either give rise to punya or it will give rise to papa. Both are binding in this material world. How both are binding, we'll try to understand here. When one does activity of some charity or helping some other person, then there is a bank account, as I mentioned to you, material bank account, very important. That is a material bank account of punya, where one will get the pious results, and he is bound by that pious result to enjoy in heaven, and he has to enjoy there of whatever good activity he did and then come back. Just like suppose we go to a jail, there are two types of jail, two types of rooms in the jail. One is class A, another is class B. Okay, three are there, class C also. So class A jail, where the prisoners are tied up with golden chains, in the hands and legs. Golden chains are there. And class B jail is that where the prisoners are tied with the silver chains. And the class C is that where the prisoners are tied up with the iron chain. Okay. So now you need to answer that out of these three, which one is the best? Which one is the good one? Somebody would like to answer? Which is the best?
All are not good, Prabhu.
All are not good.
Nothing
okay.
is best.
Okay,
All are same.
All are same. Okay. Somebody else can explain, try to explain, or have some other view, some other answer. What do you think, Surindra sir? Which is better? Or anyone else would like to answer? Which is good among the three? Mahesh sir is saying that none of them are good. Even gold is also not good, it seems. Or how many of you think that golden? Okay, yeah, Surindra sir, you can speak. Or anybody else who thinks that golden chain class A jail is better? Hare Krishna. All are able to hear? Huh? Okay. Mridula madam, you'd like to answer? Which one you feel is best?
All are same.
All are same. Did we discuss this in the last session? No, no, we have not discussed.
No, Prabhu. We didn't discuss it.
Okay, because I was remembering I have shared it somewhere. Okay, not here. So as you rightly mentioned, none of them are good. Why? Because whether you have a golden chain or you have a silver chain or we have a iron chain, all the three make us bound to the material world in the sense that it keeps us in the jail. So when one does a good action, he gets pious results, he gets the credibility to enjoy it, and it's like a golden chain. He is tied up to enjoy in the heavens. He cannot do anything else. Okay, but somebody may say, but Prabhu, I thought that purpose of life is to enjoy and elevate oneself to the higher planets and make a good living there. But that is not the real purpose of life. Okay, the real purpose of a human life is to reconnect ourselves with the Supreme Lord. And when one goes to heaven and engages in such enjoyment, what happens? He generally forgets. What does he forget? He forgets that I am part and parcel of Supreme Lord. and I need to develop and relate to him as a servant, love and serve him like that. He forgets. It becomes more difficult when one goes to heaven and is put into a situation of enjoyment. Okay. I don't know how many of you have experience, but when there is a situation where there is a opportunity to enjoy, then what happens? We generally forget God. Okay. And when there is pain, we generally remember God. And then what God says? He says, Arey, when there was pleasure, that time you did not come. Okay. If you came at that time also, I could have helped you. When there is pain only, you are coming to dump all the problems to me. Okay. So it would be better if you could sometimes come when there is pleasure. Okay. Just like, I don't know if I mentioned this example earlier, but there was a person who came to meet the Lord and do a prayer. First time in his life he came when he was 20 years old. So Lord asked him, what do you want? What is your prayer? He asked, oh my dear Lord, I am trying to get into IIT or let us say SDM Medical College. Okay. So for that sake. So he was trying very hard to prepare for MBBS degrees and he was writing various medical entrance exams, but he was not getting the result. So he finally came to the Lord and praying. The Lord said, okay, no problem. You work hard. Okay, I will give you the result. He worked hard and he finally could get into the medical college and get his degree. And next time when he came to the Lord, well, it was 5 years gap. Okay, when it was the very final exam of the MBBS and he was going to get the degree. So he was not very sure whether I will become the topper or not. He was the second topper till that time. He came to the Lord again praying. So Lord again asked him, okay, after a long time you have visited me. What is the purpose? Lord, so the boy said that I am the second rank in the college. I want to get the first rank. So please bless me so that I can be the first rank. Lord said, okay, but you have to promise me that you keep coming to me in the good times also. Not only for asking only such requests. He agreed. But again, after getting the first rank in the college, he was not to be seen for the next 5 years. Why? Because after his marriage, he was not able to get a child. So he had to come to the Lord again. Oh Lord, something very, very difficult has happened in my life and I am not having a child. I am very, very feeling remorse in my life that I don't have a child. So Lord gave him that also blessing, but again requested him, you keep coming regularly. But what happened? This person again came after 20 years. So Lord said, Arey, now you have come even after a very, very long time. He said, Lord, you know everything why I have come, but still I will put a request that my son, now I want to get him into the same medical college. So if you can please grant me this blessing, I will be very grateful. So people are like that, where they approach Lord only in the time of suffering. They don't approach Lord in the time of joy. So that's why it is said, even though one may go to the heaven, the purpose of life is not fulfilled of a human life. So the purpose of human life, as I said earlier, is to love and serve God and connect Him back in devotional service with Him. Okay. And as we explained about the iron chain and the silver chain, all are bad in the sense that everything keeps us bound to this world. So any work done must be done for the pleasure of Lord, otherwise it will cause bondage. And one should perform his prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way one can always remain free. Now, very important thing, some people may have this doubt that if I do good activity, then it must cancel the bad activities which we may have done earlier. So it is not like that. Okay, some people have this notion that if you have done something sinful activities, so we have mentioned earlier the 4 pillars of sin. What are the 4 pillars? The first one is meat eating, second is gambling, third one is illicit sex, and fourth one is intoxication. So these are the 4 pillars of sinful activity. Okay, if anybody has committed these 4 things, and there are many more, then it cannot be counteracted by doing pious activities like giving charity or so many other things, opening hospitals and any other thing. It cannot be counteracted. Okay. Neither, as this slide mentions here, punya is equated to akarma. As I already mentioned to you, there are 3 bank accounts. In that, 2 are material and 1 is spiritual. Which are the 2 material? Punya and papa are material. And akarma, that is spiritual activity, the third one is what? It is spiritual bank account. So anything material cannot be equated to spiritual. Now let us see what are the differences. Okay. So I wish if 2 of you can take the roles of reading a point from punya and somebody else can take a role of reading the point from akarma. So is it okay if I can request Sudhindra sir and Mahesh sir to please read? Sudhindra sir can read punya point wise, first point, and then akarma point wise Mahesh sir can read. Is it possible? Yeah, both are available.
Punya,
Yeah, please read.
Punya karma.
Sudhindra sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Leads to good material activities, which comes
Yeah.
under punya.
Yeah, okay. Mahesh sir can read now first point from akarma.
Akarma spiritual activity is like devotional activities are example for akarma.
Okay. Yeah, continue.
Punya pertains to the body.
Pertains to the soul.
So, punya results to one attains better material situations within the material world.
Akarma results in, it transports one beyond the material world to the spiritual world.
Punya, it does not liberate from cycle of birth and death.
Yeah.
Akarma liberates one from the cycle of birth and death.
Punya is like going from C class prison to the B class and then to A class prison.
Akarma is like getting out of prison house.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as it is mentioned here, there are 5 points, very, very important points to mention what are the differences between a good action, that is punya, and what is the difference between a spiritual activity. Okay. So few of them already we discussed. Okay. Let us go ahead. Yeah. So now the concept is of instant and delayed karma. Okay. So what is this example is given here? Please see that if somebody beats another living entity, then he will get beaten in return instantly. Okay, immediately. That is called instant karma. And here is the example of delayed karma. So somebody eats some pizza or some burger or something like that overnight, he will get stomach pain, and next day his stomach won't be clear. Somebody does stealing, then he may get imprisonment after few months, even more delayed karma. And somebody engages in intoxication, then he will get the reactions after a few years. Okay, not only this, as you see in this slide, the examples are showing what? That the karma can even come in the next life. What to speak on in this life? These are the examples of this life act, karma reactions. But there can be reactions in the next life also, like the example is here. Why do bad things happen to good people? So what is the reason? So we can understand good people means what? In this life, they have not done anything bad seriously. They have been doing good. Some people are born deaf. Okay. They are born blind. All those things. Now somebody may ask, he has not done any bad activity in this life. He is born blind. What did he do to get such a defective body? So the answer is he must have done something bad in the previous life. That's it. There is a delayed karma for him. Okay. To understand this, it would be very nice if we can try to learn this example. Imagine a agriculturist is there, a farmer is there. He keeps storing his food grains. Every year the crop which he gets, he keeps storing it. Okay. Let us say he has a very big barrel or a drum in which he keeps storing his rice. Okay, rice paddy. So the first year he got very, very good crops, which he has poured it from the top, and the rice has settled in the bottom of the drum or the container. And the next second year, he got very, very bad crop, which he has put it again in the same container. Third year also he got a very bad crop. Fourth year also he got a very bad crop. But this year, now when the fourth year has come, okay, when he tries to take out the rice from the barrel, which rice will come out? The first year rice, which is settled at the bottom. Correct. So when he is taking out the rice, even though he has done something bad in this life, he is reaping good fruits from his previous life. Even though this year his crop is not very good, he is reaping the good crops which he has earned into the 4 years ago. So did you understand the concept? How even bad people can have good results in this life. And in the same way, bad things can happen to good people in this life. Okay. Yeah. So the logic for believing that reactions to our karma may come in future is not wrong. Okay. So there are 5 examples mentioned here. Please listen attentively. No, these 5 are very, very important. So first, how to give a evidence that this logic is true. First evidence: death interrupts the fructifying of our karma. Okay, we were doing some activity for which we have not got result now. So we must get the result. Every karma we know has an equal and opposite reaction. Now, in this life we did not get any reaction of the activity which we did. So when do we get? So that we will get in the next life. Okay. So since death has interrupted the flow of karmic reactions, we will receive it in the next life. Second evidence: different karmic seeds take different time to fructify. Each karma is like a seed. Just like you have seen, suppose somebody plants a mango sapling. Okay, it will take certain years to grow and give fruits. Somebody plants a lemon tree. It will take certain time and year to give the fruits. So as different trees give fruits at different time, even though they are planted at the same time, in the same way, different actions done at the same time can reap to different results at a different time. Okay, that is the understanding here. Third one is that conditions must be right to receive it. So for this, one example is given of the Dhritarashtra. As all of you know, he is the father of the 100 Kauravas. So there is a story behind him. So once what happened, Dhritarashtra 50 lives ago had gone for, he was a king basically at that time. He had gone for shikar, okay, for hunting, because it is a practice for the Kshatriyas to go into the forest and do hunting to maintain their Kshatriya spirit and keep themselves ready for the fight. Just like in army, if you know, there are everyday morning sessions are there where they have to go and fight with their own campaign people, but not in real. Okay, they may do an imitation fight. Okay. Now, similarly, Dhritarashtra 50 lives ago, he had gone for that. Now, in the due course of time, what happened? He happened to, by mistake, kill a pair of birds, okay, who were sitting on the branch of the tree. Okay, and they were not ordinary birds. Okay, so they cursed him that you will also suffer in the same way in the pain of death of your children. Okay, so you will also suffer in the same way in the pain of death of your children. So he had to reap the good fruits for 50 lives. Okay, so that he can get the punya karma to get 100 sons, because every son anybody receives is what? A result of very, very pious credits through many lives. So in order to get 100 sons, he had to reap the fruits of good activities for 50 lives. And then in the 51st life, he got the 100 sons as Kauravas, and after receiving the 100 sons to suffer for the pain which he had caused to the birds, he had to do what? Lose all the 100 sons in the battle of Kurukshetra and suffer that pain. So this is how intricate the law of karma is. Okay. Yeah. Fourth point here: if the body is only a dress, well, okay. So we have soul which has a body. Just like we are wearing a shirt, the body, external body is there upon which we have put up a shirt. Okay, we can change the shirt every day. In the same way, the soul is changing its body. Every life, it takes a new body. Okay, so just like example is given here, a thief may commit a crime when he is wearing a white shirt. Okay, and he is arrested a few days later when he is wearing, say, a cream colored shirt. After all, the person is the same, but he must suffer his punishment. So similarly, the sufferings can come in any of the lives, even though he might have changed his body. Okay, forgetfulness is no excuse. A thief himself may forget that he had done some crime. Just like we don't remember anything of the past life. Okay, we don't remember anything of the past life, what good we did, what bad we did. But we are reaping the fruits of the past life now. Okay. Similarly, a thief may forget that he has committed some sinful activity or some criminal activity. But the police has kept a track record, okay, in the register. And whenever the police will find him, they will give him punishment. So, now very important question now, can good karma cancel bad karma? Okay, as we were discussing few minutes earlier. Now, I will tell you one story to narrate this incident. So answer is no, it cannot cancel. Okay, one enjoys separately for good karma and suffers separately for the bad karma. The example is of the king Nirga. So he was a very famous king. What happened once, as it is mentioned here, he suffered in the body of the lizard for the sinful act. He enjoyed later in the heavens for the pious acts. As you can see in this picture, one picture he is as a lizard, where Lord Krishna is coming to deliver him. And in the picture on your right hand side is a king who was giving charity at one time, the charity of cows to the Brahmanas. So the first Brahmana, he gave in charity a few number of cows, and the Brahmana went away with all the cows. And next day another Brahmana came, the second Brahmana. For him also he gave in charity the cows. What happened here is, after some time, the first Brahmana who had received in charity the cows came with a complaint. What was the complaint? That the king had given in charity one of his cows to the second Brahmana. The first Brahmana complained that king has given the cow from the quota of the first Brahmana to the second Brahmana. So king was very, very upset that it happened like this. He begged for forgiveness from the first Brahmana, and he said, I will give you 5 more cows into charity. Please take. The first Brahmana was very stubborn, but he was not ready to listen. He said, no, I want the same cow which you had given me. So king was very, very upset. What to do now? So he requested the second Brahmana. The second Brahmana also did not agree. I cannot give the cow which you have given me in charity back to you. Okay, it would be fault on my part. So both of the Brahmanas are not ready to bend. The first Brahmana is saying, no, I want the same cow. Second Brahmana is saying, no, I cannot give the cow which you have given in charity. The king is in problem now, the king Nirga. What to do? He requested the first Brahmana, I can give you hundreds of cows. Please take in return, in exchange of that one cow. The first Brahmana was not agreeing, and he gave him a curse. What did he curse? He said that you are not able to fulfill the charity which you have given. So I curse you to become a lizard. Okay. So he took birth in his next life as a lizard, but he happened to take birth in Dwarka in one of the wells. Okay, he was living in Dwarka where Lord Krishna had his palace. And at one time his sons, Lord Krishna's sons, were playing with a ball, and that the ball fell into the well where this king Nirga was residing as a lizard. and they called the sons of Lord Krishna called Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna came and delivered this lizard. Okay. So from this story, what do we learn? We learn one thing. See, the king Nriga was doing something good activity, pious activity of giving charity of cows to Brahmanas. Whereas at the same time, he performed some activity for which he had to suffer. He could not fulfill his promise of charity. So for which he got the body of a lizard. But at the same time, he later was ascended to heaven to enjoy his pious acts of giving charity of cows to Brahmanas. Okay. So did all of you understand his story? You
Yes,
can
Prabhuji.
unmute and
Prabhuji.
let me know.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Because I don't know if all of you are able to hear.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
Prabhu.
hopefully it was clear. So one thing we understood from this, that the good activity cannot cancel the bad karma. Okay. So good karma has a separate bank account. Like suppose State Bank of India, you have a bank account, and there is a bank account in Axis Bank of India. Okay. So they cannot they cannot be merged together because they are belonging to the different categories. Both are material bank accounts, but they cannot be merged together. Okay. Now, how to overcome the sinful activities which one might have performed knowingly or unknowingly? Is it not? Many times we perform it unknowingly. Many of times you must have seen some sadhus is speaking with a covering on their mouth, a white color covering. Have you seen? How many of you have seen? Any sadhus is speaking with some covering, white color cloth or something tied up?
Jain
Or
Munis.
some Jain Muni, yeah. Some of them, they don't prefer to speak. They write it on the board and give messages to their disciples. That also we have seen. So why do they do that? Because it is said, any activity which we do, just like all of us are sitting on a chair or some seat. So before we sat, there were so many germs and insects on the seat. And after we sat there, all of them were killed. And who got the karma? Knowingly or unknowingly. Now you know that you killed them. So knowingly or unknowingly, we have done this. So this is sinful activity of killing so many insects, or as we are breathing now. So many germs and insects are going inside our respiratory system and they are dying, and then we breathe out and again inhale, whatever. So walking, anything we do, eating, cooking, so many living entities and germs get killed unknowingly. And sometimes we knowingly also, we kill some mosquitoes or so many other living entities or ants. Correct? Even though we know it is going to die, but we kill. So knowingly or unknowingly, we keep doing some sinful activity. How to overcome that? So the atonement process is given in the scriptures. Okay. So this atonement process is mentioned here. Can somebody read this? Here. Okay, Mridula madam, is it possible for you to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. By a system of prayashchitta or atonement in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, certain kinds of sinful reactions may be nullified or mitigated by performance of certain ritualistic pious activities.
Yeah. So by doing certain ritualistic pious activities, what happens? One can get atonement of whatever he has done sin. Okay. But this process recommended, just like somebody kills a snake, then there is a particular method of atonement. One has to go to a Nagadevata temple and there perform some particular rituals to overcome that sinful action which he has performed. But what happens in this due course is that desire to not commit that sinful activity again still remains. You getting? See, somebody may do some certain activity of thievery and the police may punish him. For 1 year, 2 years, they may keep him in jail. But again, when he comes out of the jail, he will again commit the thievery, even though he knows that he may be punished again. Why? Because that attitude or the inclination to perform that thievery has not yet wiped out from his heart. Okay. So what is the process by which one can overcome the root of the problem? What is the root of the problem we are discussing? The desire to commit sin. The problem is not the sin itself. That is also a problem, but that is a superficial problem. A more deeper problem is the root of it is the desire to commit it. That is called avidya or ignorance. Due to ignorance only a living entity commits the sinful activity for which he has to atone. Just like sometimes you see in the agricultural field there are weeds. I don't know how many of us have experienced, but I have heard that when you remove the weeds, cut it off, it grows back more strongly. So you have to uproot it finally. Then it will not grow. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayana Agam Dhanumanti Katsnena Niharam Iva Bhaskara. Okay, what is the meaning of this in simple words? The meaning is, all of you must have experienced in the winter season, in the mornings when you get up, sometimes it's fully cloudy. Okay, it's not actually cloud. Okay, it's fog. This fog, how much ever fire you burn or whatever you do, it will not go off. But as soon as the sun rises, in minutes this fog is disappeared. How many of you have this experience? You can unmute and speak if you have this.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah. So sometimes it becomes difficult to drive. Sometimes it becomes difficult, so difficult that one is not able to. Yeah, the trains they don't run. The airplanes they have to wait. Correct? A lot of problem, especially while going to London and all. Yeah. Now this is what mentioned in scripture that this process of akarma, which we are discussing today, is the real process of atonement. By that, not only sinful reactions get extinguished, but also the root of the sinful reaction, what is that? The desire to commit the sinful reaction itself is extinguished. Okay. Yeah. So the session is, I think, almost completed. So can we go 5 more minutes because we started little late? Is it okay, or should we stop here because I was said that lunch timing is only till 2:15, and there is 3 more slides remaining here. Okay.